Right back at you. Another live stream, Trade to Black podcast presented by Dutchie. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing as we keep the momentum rolling here this week? We've been on almost every day this week with earnings season. What everybody's take on Boris Jordan yesterday. I thought he had a lot of great takes. Today, we're having another big-time host. Welcome back, Trent Woloveck, Chief Strategy Officer of JUSHI, to talk about the Spanberger win in Virginia, what this means for adult use cannabis come 2026 in Virginia, but some key things to pay attention to as to how this will all work. He's going to walk us through everything and something that you should pay attention to as well. Anthony, at the top here, we're going to quickly top line Canopy Growth's latest earnings. They came out this morning. Just to let everybody know that we have reached out to the team. We're hoping to get Luke or Brooks on in the next couple of weeks. We're hoping on Monday, but he's away on business for the next 2 weeks. So just giving everybody a heads up. So we'll quickly dive into that. So a good one as we wrap the week up strong. And let's welcome in AV and yet another live stream. Good to see you.
How's it going?
I'm good. I feel like I just logged off. Now we're back logging on again.
It's good. I mean, the platform got what it's built for this week. Bringing in-depth conversations with industry leaders, mostly people we were lucky to have on this week that I enjoy talking to, with the CEOs pertaining to earnings. And now we get to round the week out with Trent, which is going to be informative conversation on VA and PA and what they're doing to combat the illicit hemp market, which is steps that are much needed. It'll parlay on Jim's firework remarks.
Jim was on fire
from Wednesday's earnings call.
Jim was
good.
I thought he was great. And you saw a couple
good
of clips. And this isn't traditional television. This is podcast, and we like to form it that way, but we also like to throw a few F-bombs. And that was
boring. It's boring. I mean, it's boring around here. It's good to have people show their colors from time to time, especially when it's emphatically against something that is probably the biggest threat against this industry, aside from federal inaction. It's the bad actors of the hemp industry.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's time to curb in that threat.
But the way he explained it, it was almost like, let's make common sense great again. Is what I got. So anyway, he was good. Let's quickly touch on Canopy Growth. They announced early before the market opened this morning. Total revenue looked like Canadian numbers were up, Europe numbers were down a bit, but total revenue was 67 million. So that was up 6% year over year. Cannabis revenue came in at 51 million. That was up 12% year over year. Adjusted EBITDA loss was narrowed to 3 million from 6 million last year. Operating loss, $17 million. It improved 63% year over year. So I'm looking at this, and early signs show this was a good quarter for them. More specifically in Canada, adult use revenue was 24 million and was up 30% year over year. So that's a good number that they reported. But all in all, what was your take on it?
Solid. I mean, I know people have their reservations about Canopy. People have their opinions on the historical performance of Canopy. I have to give a CEO credit when they come in, they say they're going to do something, and they actually do it.
He's doing it.
Luke's done it quarter over quarter since he's been at the helm. I'm assuming he's going to continue to do it on a go-forward basis. I mean, I know that there's some questions around CUSA that need to be answered, but the Canadian business and the international business, he's doing what he said he's going to do. It's another solid quarter from Canopy in the right direction.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that he's just going to keep building.
Yeah. International cannabis sales, $5 million down 39% year over year, hit by supply chain issues in Europe. Stores and Bickles, 16 million. So that was down 10%, but that was because of consumer demand offset by the launch of VZ. But gross margin did improve 38%, up 600 basis points. So, Stores and Bickle, no worries there. Strong for sure. But again, great numbers to see in Canada. I think that surprised, some people a little bit. But all in all, it's about paying down debt. And he's cut a lot of costs, and appears that he's trying to get this turned around. So whether that continues, let's hope so, because I think this industry needs a good turnaround story like Canopy Growth. That was the original OG, but a lot of obstacles that were in his way, but it appears Luke is steering this in the right direction based on these latest numbers.
Yeah, and a 600 basis point upswing in margin is commendable. I mean, that's creating operational efficiencies and dialing in your processes to where the business needs to be.
Yep, that's for sure. All right, lots to get into, and let's just jump right into it. Welcome in the Chief Strategy Officer of JUSHI Holdings, and really almost like a co-host of Trade to Black. He's on so much, but he's got a lot to offer. Trent Woloveck, good to see you, my man. Good
morning, boys. How we doing?
How's it going?
we were saying before we got started, we won't talk too much about sports, but I know you're a big baseball fan. That was an incredible series, was it not?
Yeah, I think it's one of the better sporting series I've seen in quite some time. Unfortunately, my Indians, my tribe, the Guardians were on the wrong side of one in 2016. But yeah, it was fun to watch such an exciting series for baseball.
You know, you go to a Cleveland game, I think 95% of the hats there are still the old logo. That's the greatest logo in sports.
The best look. Yeah, that's a
Steve
really
Wahoo,
good logo.
baby. Bring them back.
I think
Bring
so.
them back.
Okay, let's start with the obvious. Abigail Spanberger, and she's about to become Virginia's next governor. She publicly supported adult use cannabis reform. From your vantage point, what is her win? I think, you know, besides the obvious, but from your vantage point, like what is her win signal to operators, investors, and regulators now that she's going to become the next governor of Virginia?
Yeah, well, first off, let's take a step back.
Okay.
You know, look at this from a country, like a total country perspective. I think, you know, you saw between, you know, the governor's race in Virginia and the governor's race in New Jersey, two very moderate liberals win. Yeah. You know, two women that are, you know, coming from the U.S. Senate, that have, you know, real experience, understand government, but they aren't, you know, the Mondavis of the world or the AOCs of the world. They are very moderate in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I unfortunately, the, you know, mainstream media only talked about, you know, Mondavi and his win in New York. And that's, you know, that's the talking point for, you know, Republicans across the country. But I quite frankly, I think her win is much bigger than cannabis alone. And so hopefully people take note.
Why is that? Why do you say that, Trent?
I mean, I think we as a country need to swing away from extremes on both sides, quite frankly, and get back to governing this country, or having our legislators govern this country. Because what are we, day 38 or 39 of the shutdown right now?
We got flights being canceled left and right now.
I'm in DC right now. I never left because I'm afraid I'm going to get caught. Coming here on Tuesday, I sat on the tarmac for an extra 45 minutes in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we circled the airport for an hour.
That's crazy.
And so, that doesn't work for probably, you know, 90% of, maybe not 90%, but like, you know, 50% of the working folks not to travel. It's detrimental for me. And so, you know, as we try to continue to grow the economy, grow the business, whether that's cannabis or, you know, a lot of other industries, it's just not sustainable. And, you know, I heard Speaker Johnson on CNBC yesterday morning literally call the shutdown the Seinfeld shutdown, because it's literally absolutely about nothing. And so it's frustrating. You know, I was on the radio last Sunday in Columbus, Ohio, with, you know, an urban community, 107.5, the radio station I grew up listening to. It was kind of cool, 95.9. And
95.9 with Trent.
Yeah, I was actually shocked at the feedback you know, callers were giving, and where they were kind of laying the blame on whose feet, which, you know, wasn't the Republicans. So I think we, you know, we as individuals are getting, you know, sick and tired of hearing about what's fed to us, and you know, there's a lot more information out there now. I'll get off my soapbox, but yeah, that's why I think Spanberger, her win signifies a lot more than you know, just a plus for cannabis.
Yeah, I know.
But at the same time, Earl Sears was a terrible candidate.
Absolutely. She would be somebody I qualify or put into the extreme right.
And she didn't even support Trump. Like she didn't support. She literally said that she doesn't support the president. Like, I don't understand how you can run in the GOP right now and say that and basically denounce Trump. Like, to me, that's political suicide. But at the same time, for the industry's sake, we needed Spanberger to get in office, because I'm not going to believe any GOP candidate that's going to say they're going to support cannabis right now until they actually do. And I'm assuming with what you're seeing as well, she is the woman to get it done in the governor's seat in Virginia. So I'm actually glad that the GOP candidate was a dud.
Yeah. I mean, look, Spanberger, her father was a police officer. He was in law enforcement. Like, she was raised the right way. She got recruited into the CIA.
I was going to say, she was CIA.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, funny story. I may have told it on here or not, but like, Spy Game is probably one of the most underrated movies I've ever seen, with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. And she loves that movie. And so, you know, we connected over that, and it was always something that I wanted to do, but never did. And so she's a very, 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 you know, solid individual to take over a leadership role in Virginia. And quite frankly, you saw her carry down ticket with Heshme, the lieutenant governor, and Jay Jones, who, you know, made some very inappropriate comments, still get, you know, drug across the finish line. And so you can see what strong leadership does for pulling the ticket across. And then, you know, the other thing that people are not paying attention to, and I've not heard this anywhere on any, and I don't watch the news too much, CNBC, but the whole House was up for re-election too on Tuesday. And Don Scott, who is the Speaker of the House, first African-American in Virginia to hold that title, and he went from 51 seats to 64 seats. 64 out of 100 seats are now Democrat. And so, again, I'll go back to strong leadership gets you the way you want an outcome to be. And in Virginia, like that was a tsunami. That wasn't just a blue wave. That was a tsunami. And you're seeing people be very centrist in Virginia, because that's kind of what people are looking for, quite frankly.
So with the paradigm shift in the government in Virginia, that has shifted greatly towards blue versus red. What do you think the road ahead looks like for, let's say, that adult use bill finding its way to the governor's desk again and not getting vetoed this time, but getting implemented into the state?
Well, not getting vetoed is 100% not going to happen, which is refreshing to say the least. I mean, I watched that bill get killed one time in a subcommittee because the governor texted somebody and killed it. Mm-hmm. Like you can see it happen. And then I watched the governor 2 years ago throw a hissy fit because he didn't get his stadium, and he killed adult use. And then last year it was just like, don't talk to me, that thing's dead, type deal. And so it's more frustrating, extremely frustrating, for two reasons. We totally decriminalized cannabis July 1st of 2021. And so, you saw the repercussions of not allowing somebody to legally procure cannabis. They would allow the illicit market to take shape, and it has in Virginia. And then finally, like 2 weeks ago, when it started to become cool, Glenn Youngkin decides to run an operation called Operation Magic Dragon, and he goes and starts busting all these hemp and smoke and vape shops. And
I mean, that's
it's huge. It's huge, but he's been allowing it for the last 3.5 years, and would never listen to folks. He wanted to bury his head in the sand, and so
why do you think that is?
I think I think it's a lot of reasons, but
You always get movement right at the 11th hour, it seems, with any political party. It's
well, he did, you know, you started to see a federal crackdown, quite frankly.
Yeah.
With Pam Bondi, with
good point.
With Kennedy, with I always draw a blank on the FDA, head of the FDA, but they did a bust 2 months ago, and there was THC in there and around Chinese vapes. And so he was like, "Oh, it's kind of cool. There was no pushback. Actually, it's kind of like a big thing at the federal level." So he's like, "Well, I'm going to go do that too because I know it's proliferated across my state into the communities." And so, yeah, look, I think it was disappointing that he was taking advice from the wrong people, quite frankly, and didn't want to sit down and have a conversation. An adult conversation about adult use. And so, yeah, look, I know Abigail or I guess Governor-elect Spanberger and, Speaker Scott and President Pro Tem, and even the Senate Majority Leader, they all understand and realize what's going on in these communities. Yeah. Like Abigail Spanberger has 3 daughters that go to public school in Richmond.
Okay.
And so, like, and I know, and quite frankly, everybody knows that wants to admit the truth. All those kids are exposed to the vapes and synthetic cannabinoids and all the bad stuff. And so, I've talked with her, we've met with her. And look, she was in U.S. Congress when they passed the Farm Bill in 2018. And so, I think she was rather taken aback of what that Farm Bill, 2018 Farm Bill, has morphed into, a massive Frankenstein. And so,
do you think that she's going to really clamp down on the illicit market and illegal hemp in the state of Virginia concurrently with bringing adult use online?
Yeah, well, look, I'll her background would tend for you to think that way. Her father was law enforcement, and she, handled, drug investigation at the CIA level. And so, yeah, I don't think she's going to be soft on that.
No.
And then, the point of having a regulated market, and giving people that are over the age of 21 that want to consume cannabis an outlet to do that. And Correct. So therefore you have to have, X plus Y equals Z. You can't have only X or only Y and get it to equal Z, and Z being shutting down the illicit market. So you got to have both enforcement and an outlet to purchase cannabis.
Do you think that she's going to lean on industry players to help construct the platform that'll be deployed in Virginia? And if so, do you think that there'll be things such as hemp not getting outright banned, but the legal products with integrity being folded into the overarching cannabis industry that will emerge in Virginia, with things that we've seen in states such like Michigan and Missouri, where they're actually bringing the hemp products in to the folds, but they're regulating and licensing them and not keeping it the Wild West via the smoke shop structure, like what you're seeing in other states.
Yeah. So, the good thing about Virginia is, we've now worked on this for about 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a general structure, a general expectation of, what's been passed and what this should look like. So, if people want to, go back to last year's session or the session before and pull, I don't remember the bill names or the bill numbers, I should say, but it was Senator Aaron Rouse, it was Delegate Krizek that ran the bills, and so that's going to be, I think, kind of the general structure of what a program would look like. Don't forget, like 3 sessions ago, we, the Commonwealth implemented, what I think was, a very reasonable hemp program where there was a cap on THC at the finished package level, and there were no synthetics allowed. And so, yeah, I think, Virginia was out in front of this super early. It actually got challenged in the Fourth Circuit. It got upheld because, I love the hamsters that always say, "Ooh, federal law preempts state law." Well, you've now lost in court, 5 or 6 times? And oh, by the way, the Farm Bill clearly says a state must present a program to get approved. And so therefore, that in and of itself says state law preempts federal law. That's what they lose on 10 out of 10 times.
Yep.
It's not, I'm not a lawyer, and it's not rocket scientist to understand that statement. But yeah, so there's already a level playing field. And if people have been following the state law this whole time, and they want to come into the adult use cannabis market, I think they should be rewarded and be included, because
absolutely,
I'm a firm believer that cannabis will continue to be an economic driver for communities, whether that's urban communities or rural communities. And so the people that have been economically disadvantaged in urban communities, we all know who that is, the social equity aspect, as well as people that have been impacted by the opioid crisis in rural communities that also are farmers, should also come into the adult use regulated cannabis space, as long as you've been a good actor during the time we've had medical cannabis or no program. But this idea that you're trying to shortcut and come into the market and sell something is just bullshit.
Well, a little bit of
there's no place. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit about her background. She voted for the MORE Act. She also co-sponsor Safe Banking. She's been an advocate for establishing a legal retail cannabis sales system in Virginia, where possession has been legal since 2021. Commercial sales, though, have remained stalled, leading to an estimated $3 billion in illicit markets. So she has stated, as Virginia takes steps towards creating a legalized retail market for cannabis, the state needs a clear strategy to set up a market that is safe for consumers, transparent for businesses, and fair to entrepreneurs. So based off all that, how quickly do you think we could see legislative move in Richmond once she's sworn in?
Yeah, so Virginia is I love their session because it starts mid-January and it's done beginning or middle or end of March. And so
they get to work.
It's 45 or 60 days. You have your bill, it gets filed, you run the process, you hope that it gets out of the legislator, then it gets to the governor's desk. She, for the first time, will have 30 days to do 3 things. Four things. Veto it, do nothing, and it goes into law, or sign it, it goes into law, or line item, veto certain things, and then it runs back through a process. And so it's highly unlikely that 3 of the 4 things happen with Spanberger. Obviously, you just read, where her stance is on cannabis. And so, let's assume that happens. She signs the bill, sometime in middle to end of April. You really have 3 dates that legislation can be enacted. It's July 1st, October 1st, or January 1st of the following year. So it would be 1/1/27. You made the statement. You pegged the illicit market at $3 billion. So let's just use that number. I don't know, 10% tax, just so I can do the math easy in my head. $300 million of tax revenue. Boy, I'd love to start capturing that really quick.
No kidding.
That fills a lot of gaps in the budget where you saw the president pro tem, who she's also actually the chair of Senate Finance Committee, come out and say, I need money to replace the federal funding for SNAP and for Medicaid. And so, man, I don't know, $300 million a year sounds pretty nice. And it makes makes a lot of those big holes a lot smaller.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's talk structure. They've been floating the idea of a regional district model, dividing the states, if I understand, into cannabis zones with licensing caps and equity provisions. So you've been close to these conversations. How do you see that model evolving once your administration is fully on board and this does pass?
Yeah, that's the medical market. There's health service areas, and we can only open retail stores in those health service areas. We can sell our product wholesale anywhere in the Commonwealth. And so that's not going to be a model that's followed moving forward for commercial adult use sales. I think you're going to see, again, something that, includes people from the urban communities, includes people from the rural communities. Look, it's simple math, and there's like a misnomer that people love to spew about how MSOs, get to corner the market. They have monopolies. It's pretty simple. We just implemented, in June and July, seed to sale tracking system metric, and the CCA, the Cannabis Control Authority, released numbers of what the sales were for 2 months, and it was like, a whopping, I think it was like $15 million a month. So do the math really quick. That's $180 million. Let's just call it $200 million on a market that you just said was $3 billion for the illicit market. And so 200 million divided by 3 billion is well below 10%. And so these people that are like, they get a head start and they're going to own the marketplace and blah, blah. I mean, it's just a total farce, quite frankly. And so
haters going to hate Trent.
But at least hate on me with educated stance. Then let's have a conversation. Don't come with some fictional bullshit, quite frankly. And so, in a market where we saw, the one market that we've seen medical operators not be included with the jump, which is New York. You saw that market in the first 6 months of sales.
It was a mess.
Do about $33 million. $33 million. I mean, I do that in a month and a half of my businesses. And I'm like a small guy, very small guy. And so, on the flip side, where you have Maryland, in the first month they did $67 million in regulated sales, and so that market still continues to grow. We don't even have remotely close. We have 30. The max we could have as a medical program is 30 stores for a state that has 9 million people. We know that that's not enough. Stop saying that we have an oligopoly, a monopoly.
Yeah,
it's just not true. And so therefore,
that's not nearly enough. 9 million people in 30 stores.
Yeah. And so, there's about 400 ABC stores, because the Commonwealth of Virginia sells liquor through state stores.
Yeah.
And so, I think you're going to see a phased approach of retail get rolled out.
Yeah.
To continue to support the growth of the marketplace.
What's the population of Maryland, and how many stores do they have? Do you know?
Maryland population small.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 million or 5.5 million. And I think they have, we're not in Maryland, so I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'd guess they have somewhere around 150 to 200 stores.
They do, yes. Maryland's similar to Jersey, or was similar to Jersey before all the stores started popping up.
Does Maryland border under Virginia? Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. With DC kind of carved in there.
Right.
yeah, so like our medical market, we compete against DC and we compete against Maryland. And so, yeah, we keep a close eye on pricing there, and, we compete with that because, we don't want, medical patients driving over the border to buy adult use. Cause most of them, a lot of people like live in Northern Virginia, but they may work in DC or they may work over in Maryland. And so, yeah, I think, Maryland, and I'll say this, Maryland was like a gold standard for social equity. They've done a great job of standing up, that aspect of their program. And so there you saw existing medical operators open up, flip to adult use, continue to build the market while, they helped make an investment into the social equity businesses and get stood up, provide grants, and hit the ground running. And surprise, surprise, it's a great market.
So everything sounds great. We need new markets to go online, that's for sure. So I think the key takeaway here is the fact that once she's sworn in, you're saying that a lot of bills that get presented move fast. So we could see a lot of movement on this rather quickly, which is great. And then you've got a governor who supports it, which is even better.
And July 1st would be that first potential date for the bill getting implemented or
into law,
ratified.
Into law.
Not
ratified.
Ratified. Yeah.
Yeah. So July 1st, October 1st, or January 1st the following year.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong if I missed this, but licensing structure, how do you see that all playing out?
We just what?
I think I'll summarize it. I think you'll see existing medical operators get grandfathered in. You'll see people be able to have a vertical, meaning they can do cultivation, manufacturing, and retail, or they can do just cultivation, just manufacturing, or just retail. And you'll see tiers of different size cultivation facilities that people can do. Again, this is just all in language, so it's already written down and been passed. You'll have different tiers for different canopies on a square foot basis, and you'll have caps on that. You'll have caps on number of manufacturing licenses, and you'll have retail stores that I think you'll see somewhere between 300 and 350 stores, and that'll be rolled out in phases as we continue to grow the market as responsible operators in the Commonwealth.
Well, like I said, close to 9 million people in Virginia. So a decent sized market, that's for sure. You wonder how many of those people from that state are driving over to Maryland right now. But this is good to see a new market to go online. But all in all, it looks like, and I know you guys have talked about this in the past, and Jim as well, too, that you guys are ready to pounce on this opportunity as a company. Are you not?
Yeah, I think, from our perspective, this year alone in 2025, we've gone from 4 cultivation rooms, flowering rooms, if you will, up to 7. We have capacity for turn on an 8th. And then, we have property in the back that we're, looking at and trying to figure out, what the design looks like, programming for that, so that we can, once we get line of sight on the program's going to go through, and knock on wood, I think we're going to see a couple more wins for cannabis at a macro level this year. And so we're going to be responsible, but we feel good, like every dollar that we invest into the ground in Virginia will be like a 1 turn on EBITDA in a 12-month payback period. And so I think we'll be able to ramp that up pretty quick. We just expanded our mortgage with the FVC Bank, which is a local Northern Virginia bank, from 20 to 24 million bucks. We knocked the rate down, from 8.25 to 7.5.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so we're in a unique position to help continue to grow the marketplace from a supply perspective. And we got to do that because you're talking about 104 patients that we have in the 104,000 patients that we have in the state right now, which is, maybe a little over 1%. It is a little over 1%. And so, we've seen medical markets like Pennsylvania be, closer to like 4.5%, 5%. So we still have plenty of growth there. But obviously when we flip to adult use, that typically lands somewhere between 8 to 12% of the total population. So theoretically a market could, increase quite a bit. However, we're going to be in a world where it's supply constraint, and that's really going to what drives how quick and how fast the market can grow and build into that $3 billion of illicit market.
Do you talk to Jim Cacioppo much?
I think we probably talk 2 to 3 times a day. Man. So it eats about 6 hours of my day every day.
He lit the live stream on fire towards the end on Wednesday, but it was great to see. But he was talking some common sense about how are some of these cannabis companies jumping into hemp going to compete against some of these other companies, but also just the fact of what's going on in the illicit market. There were some strong points that he had made stating that many hemp THC products are being sold illegally, which is obvious, exploiting gaps in the Farm Bill. It's not regulated. It's not taxed. It's not tested. He emphasized that regulated cannabis operators, the JUSHI, are being held to strict standards while hemp beverage sellers bypass a lot of those rules, which we've talked about numerous times with you. But did you get a chance to see it? And I know you've done a lot of groundwork on the grassroots level through PA. And it's nice to see this control board being formed in PA as well, is it not?
Yeah. So Senate Bill 49, is being ran right now in Pennsylvania. It was voted on 10-1 out of Senator Danny Laughlin, Chairman Senator Danny Laughlin's committee. I think the big one was Kim Ward voted yes on it. She's the president pro tem. A lot of people have had uneducated opinions on her stance on cannabis. And so she was a yes vote, which I think speaks volumes, because people can talk and talk and talk, but when it comes time to put up a vote, you vote one way or you vote the other. And so her voting yes is a big deal, in my opinion. And so, I think we'll see that get voted on the Senate floor in the next week and a half, sometime like around November 17th, I think, is the next day they're in session, 16th or 17th.
Okay.
I got a lot in the head right now, so don't hold me to exact dates. But yeah, I think that moves, and then let's see what the Democrats decide to do over in the House. Do they, want to try to continue to stall an adult use program because they don't take it very serious and they send over state stores as a model? Or do they want to sit down and have a real conversation about standing up a model that makes sense for the Commonwealth, for Pennsylvania, for Pennsylvanians, so they can finally get this taken care of and not be surrounded by states that sell adult use cannabis or, allow a $1.2 billion illicit hemp product marketplace to exist, because that's what's going on right now. That's not a Trent Woloveck statement. That's a Philly Inquirer. That's a grand jury opinion that was published a couple weeks back from 3 different counties kind of surrounding Philadelphia. And look, JUSHI's going to continue to shine light on these people through litigation. And good. I'll say what I always say: good luck.
Good luck.
Just good luck.
Our good friend.
We'll see what happens.
Our good friend Brian Dabrowski has logged on here today. Brian, good to see you. David, I'm referencing the adult use rollout. Are you referencing Virginia? Is that Brian? Because later on he writes, my clients walked away.
No, he's talking about Maryland.
Oh,
because Westmore was on the board of GTI, and then Westmore also holds, I think, 1 million shares of GTI. Yeah, GTI stock in a blind trust, which they're saying. I'm not too familiar with the slowed rollout in Maryland. I just know that Maryland was a very lucrative market off of the jump, and it's still continued to be a material market for a lot of the MSOs that are there.
Yeah.
But as far as any sort of roadblock or deliberate slow rolling of the industry, I'm not aware of any of that.
$67 million in
The first
month. I don't know how you call that slow. Well, I know how you call that slow because you sell illicit cannabis across the country, but you know, we'll save that one for another day.
You know, let's not split hairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the main event. Introducing first, representing the green corner, the regulated corner. All right, my friend, always good catching up with you and great insight, but good takeaways here. But I think the main takeaway here is, like you said, is this should move fast and all signs point in the right direction once she's sworn in come January. And to Anthony's point, we're looking at July 1 would be the earliest date for this to be sworn into law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullish. 10-1 would be like a middle of the road conservative, and then 1-1 would be like a kind of downside scenario, if you will, if you want to model it that way.
All right. Tell Jim, great job on Wednesday, and you as usual. Tell Dre and the team that we say hi to, and let's keep in touch. We'll see you in Washington in a little over a week. That should be an interesting day.
Pick a side and let's play. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, my friend.
Thanks, Trent.
Thanks, Trent.
Yep, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too. He is a beauty, and you know what I like about him is that he's done a lot of the grassroots work. He's seen on the front lines as to what's going on, so we can back it up and really shed light on. Because I know when he speaks, it ruffles a lot of feathers, but come with an educated response is what he said in that live stream when you've got something, and that's exactly what he does. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, right?
Yep, I completely agree. And everybody in the comments, like I'm seeing a ton of comments today. Like, we're not like corporate cannabis, like absolutionists. Like, I'm fully for home grow, farmers markets. Like, the little guys should be able to grow cannabis. These guys on the MSO side, they truly don't care about home grow. Home grow doesn't impact their business. It's a non-starter. I mean, I believe that those laws should be available for people in states where cannabis is legal. They need to be controlled. I'd prefer to buy my cannabis from a farmer's market, to be completely honest, on the flower side, if I had the chance. And then on the hemp side, like, it's just, I'm not against hemp products, but clean products. Like, they're finding fungicides and herbicides that they spray on golf courses in distillate and in hemp products. Like, those are neurotoxic. Like, you are going to put product on shelf, and there is product on shelf right now on the hemp side of the business that will seriously injure people on a go-forward basis that they should not be consuming. And that's that. And I mean, I'm sure there's tons of guys that cultivate with plenty of integrity on the black market. There's plenty of guys that cultivate with plenty of integrity on the farmers market and on home grows. I'm not saying they're criminals. I'm not saying they should be arrested. And I'm surely not saying that they grow bad product. But there needs to be guardrails in place on the products that are being sold to the masses. That's like point stop. Like, you cannot be selling flour and vapes that have herbicides, fungicides, mold, mildew, things that are going to injure people if they're consumed. I mean, that's that.
Trent just texted me now. They have homegrown in Virginia in 4 plants.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I wish that we had homegrown in Florida. If we had homegrown in Florida, I'd be growing plants in my house right now. More so as like a science experiment and just out of sheer curiosity. But it's something that I would definitely do. And I think that it's something that if cannabis is legal in your state, you should be allowed to do that with certain quantities and measures in place so it doesn't get out of hand.
By the way, today's podcast is sponsored by Dutchie, and they just did a product launch, if I'm correct. I'm trying to learn more about what this is, but I'm going to have more information, try to get one of their representatives on. But as we said, tech is going to be a big focal point, especially for a lot of the large MSOs. And Boris Jordan had mentioned that yesterday, that Dutchie leads their technology platform. And again, good numbers, but we will have more information on that. But yes, if you want to learn more about this, visit business.dutchie.com. All right, we're going to wrap up today's podcast, but before we do, let's welcome in an old friend. It's Fridays. Let's cue the music, and I love the hat that he's wearing. Let's bring in Guap. Hi.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Where's the music? I'm listening to the music. Aren't you asleep?
Yeah. I'm low key or high key promoting the merch shop down below.
Yes, we have launched our merchandise store. So hoodies, hats. I like the hat. That's very nice.
And Gary, I know you've asked twice. The next TDR Plus episode will be Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, so I've hand selected all the materials. We put the logo on a bunch of colors we really like. This is the small TDR logo in Loden green and a Richardson snapback. I'm a hat guy, as you know, so I was really picky about this stuff. And if you have any ideas or things you want to see in the future, we're just starting with a few products for now, and we'll see how it goes.
Good stuff. Well, we see you in Paris Fashion Week because you did a good job, my friend. Show the hoodie. Stand up. You got a hoodie?
Oh no,
on?
this hoodie's just my hoodie.
Hold on.
But yeah, I share the enthusiasm about Virginia. You can bring the music down a little bit, Arns. I can't. Too much dub. I can't handle it. There's
some hoodies right there. There's a white one.
But yeah, the Spanberger win as someone who owns land in Virginia, and yes, OG Grandma, I've got Lodgepole up there.
Where do you like those hats?
It's exciting to see, specifically that 300 to 350 retail license number excites me because who knows, you may see me owning and operating in Western Virginia or Southern Virginia. I'm excited.
The hoodies are not zippered. I guess there are some models that we could do for that, but no, the hoodies are not zippered. Anyway, but good stuff, my friend. Thank you for coming on. How have you been? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm riding the Virginia high right now. I'm excited.
That's a great idea from Dank. We should have actually done that.
Can we make the merch made.
All merch is 100% hemp textiles.
Believe me, I did look at that, and there are some options out there. It's more difficult to source. I wonder why. No, I want industrial hemp textiles, building, all to blow up. I recently purchased a couple different kinds of hemp shirts just to try them out, and I will say, like, a hemp blended with bamboo, it breathes really well on hikes, way better than cotton.
Is this U.S. airspace projected to be shut down imminently due to ongoing government shutdowns? Sorry, I got distracted there, but I just saw a tweet come in, whether that's accurate or not.
That was all over the news this morning.
Yeah, the government likes to do this every once in a while to make us all think we need them. That's my sick opinion. It's a mess, and they still need a lot of education. But
all in all, we've had a good week though for earnings. I'm very
positive.
Very positive. I don't want to look at some of the price action that's going on. I looked this morning and I'm like, oof. But
yeah, if we look a little dazed and confused, it's because y'all interviewed every single CEO that had earnings, and if you didn't interview them this week, we're interviewing them next week. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
Drinking from a fire hose this week.
Okay, I just heard back from the Canopy Growth team. So they're coming up for air because it's been a busy couple of weeks for them. Yes, they are pinging Brooks. So we will keep you posted early part of next week to see when Brooks can come on. Okay. Sweet. Who else do we have for next week? We're trying to land Michael DeJulio because they've got earnings on Monday. So I'm still waiting to hear back from Village Farms. I just want to remind people, when there's certain people that don't come on, it's not because we don't try. And usually a lot of the people that you see, let's say from time to time again, that come on this show, it's because they make themselves available. That's it. You know, we're not being biased one way or the other. Tara said right now,
Jason potentially will be on next Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
I talked to him last night.
Okay. I know he was traveling. So
yep.
Gary, CGC earnings, good or bad? They were good. They were good. We talked on that at the top of the show. Just looking elsewhere. We're going to still try to get through to Zach George from SNDL and try to get him on. I'm going to also have John Levine from MaryMed for a pre-record on Tuesday. So we'll push that out on Wednesday. We'll also have a more in-depth conversation with Micah Anderson, Leaf Brands, one of the good stories that we saw this week in the earnings. Good job tracking that down, Anthony.
I'm excited about them just because the imagery and video that they're producing is gorgeous. I mean, this is a 1,900 acre ranch you can ride horses around.
Well, if there's rescheduling announced,
within the next year, I really hope to camp out there and take some sunset pics because it's beautiful.
Well, that's where we'll film, in the middle of that field once we get rescheduling.
Yeah, and their lab's pretty nice too.
What's up with Kim? We've tried, just quiet, very difficult trying to get her on. Ben Kovler, that's, you don't have to go there, but Peter Sack is going to be on the live stream with Anthony. I'll be away a week from today. Daughter's in a big hockey tournament up near the Toronto area, so dad's got to go.
Sick.
But so Peter Sack will be on for latest earnings and talk those latest numbers. So we got some stuff still to do next week, but man, oh man, the last 4 days, a lot of stuff that we've endured, but it all went well, and I hope everybody got some good feedback and some good takeaways on the latest earnings season. So appreciate everybody logging on here today. I think that wraps things up today, gents. Anything else you guys want to add?
I'm good on my end.
I got a 30-second mic drop if you want it.
Good. Fire away.
Hemp and cannabis lobby so hard for their own business interests, they risk confusing lawmakers so no one gets what they want. People, consumers, want safe products at a decent price, convenient, sent to their door even. Many are forced to roll the dice every day with this untested garbage. This is good actors versus bad. A actors want regulation, unify, and make cannabis great again. Please.
I like it. Well said. All right. We will be having our weekly recap Sunday. And what's everybody think of this weekly international recap I do on Friday nights? I'm doing a lot of this stuff, but I'd love to get people's feedback on what they think. We're going to be doing a new weekly segment on Wednesdays, and it's just to bring on the best thought leaders in Europe to give people a better understanding and education on the European market versus kind of top lining this stuff. Because I know, Anthony, from at times when we've had Franzi on and Finn on, we get some really good information regarding news that pops in, say, Germany. But we want to have that on a more continuous basis because from what we're hearing, there's stuff moving as to what Boris said in the UK, understanding that whole reform angle, what's different from the US. France, we're seeing movement along with others. So every week we're going to have a segment. Our second segment on the live stream on Wednesday will be shedding light on the international market. So that's going out tonight as far as our top 5, TDR, Cannabis, and 5. I'll have the usual video on Saturday and then our weekly recap on Sunday. Go ahead, Guap.
Oh, no, I'm biased because I have a say in some of the content, but the international stuff, I mean, while the U.S. is in this stalemate, these international markets are growing and unlocking, and there's all sorts of stuff and people on the ground in those countries that we could get on the show. So I'm excited to bring that flavor.
We're also looking to land Frank Colombo, Seth Yakutin, and who am I drawing a blank? Last person.
Steve Ernest from Chicago Atlantic.
Steve Ernest. That'll be on TDR Plus next week as well. So keep you guys all posted. That'll be a good panel. I know you've quickly touched on that, but we want to talk about New York versus California. Lots to unpack in this relationship, the role and lack of role of social equity, limited license versus free-for-all, taxation, and regulation. So that is going to be a panel discussion on TDR Plus next week. So anyway, I'm rambling, folks. I appreciate everybody for logging on here today, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks again.
See you, buddy.
Hey everyone, thanks again for watching here today. Listen, if you're getting value from us here at TDR, make sure to check us out at TDR Plus. It's our exclusive membership community. Why? Well, you'll see CEO interviews that go beyond business, showing a personal side that you won't find anywhere else, including the biggest names of the industry. Plus, you'll get insights from analysts and day traders on where the industry's headed, both short-term and long-term, and a direct chat group with our team. It's only $7 a month, just 25 cents a day, and it helps support everything we do here at TDR. If you want to join, just click the join button below and become a TDR Plus member today. And once again, a big thank you for being part of our community. So that's it for today. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.